Christine Brennan just dropped another bombshell. And once again, the WNBA is scrambling to clean up the mess. This time, she's pulling back the curtain on what really went down between Diggins Carrington and reporters after that unforgettable eye poke incident with Caitlin Clark. Now the league's in full-blown panic mode, because this revelation could completely unravel their tightly managed image of professionalism and accountability. Will Diggins Carrington actually go through with legal action? Or is this just another social media flare-up waiting to fizzle out? Drop your predictions in the comments. And here we are again, folks, watching the WNBA try to contain yet another fire sparked by its own stars. Christine Brennan's book? It keeps swinging, blow after blow. And this latest chapter about Carrington is a gut punch to a league still clinging to its shaky public image. In case you forgot, Carrington was the Connecticut Sun player behind that infamous eye poke to Caitlin Clark in last season's playoff drama.
Harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down.
The incident lit a firestorm of debate, with fans and analysts alike insisting it was blatant targeting, just hidden behind the mask of aggressive defense.
Dejanay, did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her. So I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened. With the increased
Carrington, of course, played the victim and brushed it off as just an accident, because apparently, in her world, pro athletes have zero control over their own limbs. But now, Brennan's book pulls back the curtain on what really happened after the dust settled. And let me tell you, it's not a flattering look for Carrington, or for the league that keeps letting this stuff slide. Brennan says Carrington went after journalists in what was supposed to be a calm, professional press setting. Basically, she tried to strong-arm reporters just for doing their jobs.
We got an altercation between Brennan and Dejanay Carrington. It doesn't even have to do with the eye gouge, which we know Dejanay flipped her wig off over at Christine Brennan, but we got a confrontation. Dejanay Carrington went after Christine Brennan because she thought she was talking trash about her Nalissa Smith.
The story goes that Brennan and some other journalists were chatting about Nalissa Smith's performance and the team's chemistry when Carrington suddenly decided to play hall monitor. She allegedly stormed up to them in the catering area, shouting about why they were even talking about Smith, accusing them of calling her a bad teammate. Because apparently, in Carrington's world, journalists aren't supposed to analyze basketball performance or talk about team dynamics.
This is the post, and said on behalf of the 144, in a week that was dedicated to celebrating, amplifying whatever for their hard work, exceptional performances. We're not going to distract from their success. They distracted from the success because, by the way, they ignored all of those players because they wanted to. And to unprofessional media members like Christine Brennan, you're not fooling anyone. The so-called interview in the name of journalism and blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete into participating in narratives is false and designed to fuel racist, homophobic and misogynistic vitriol on social media.
Let's pause for a second and just take in how absurd this whole thing really is. You've got a professional athlete who genuinely believes she can control what journalists say about players on other teams. The level of entitlement it takes to think you can bully reporters into softening their coverage. It's unreal. But honestly, not shocking, especially with the WNBA's history of turning a blind eye to this kind of behavior. Carrington's response: exactly what you'd expect. Instead of handling the situation with even a shred of maturity or professionalism, she's gone full Twitter mode, laughing emojis, vague threats about defamation. It's basically a digital temper tantrum. And honestly, it sums up the mindset that landed her in this mess to begin with.
Because that's real professional in a league, in a professional league, to have a confrontation with a journalist because you got a personal relationship with a player. You see the issue there, folks?
The defamation angle is especially amusing because it shows just how little Carrington seems to grasp about journalism or the law, for that matter. Defamation means you have to prove false statements were made with real malice and that they actually caused damage. And when you're going up against a seasoned journalist like Brennan, who backs her reporting with sources and receipts, good luck with that. But here's the part that really stands out. Instead of denying the confrontation ever happened, Carrington zeroed in on how her actions are being described. She's not claiming she didn't approach the reporters or say anything. She's just upset with how it's being framed.
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge. And to then see this negativity, like why? And what should have been done? I looked seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it in Iowa. You see these TV ratings.
Whether it counts as yelling or intimidation, that's the hill she's choosing to stand on. Which, let's be honest, sounds a lot like admitting something inappropriate did go down. And the WNBA, they're doing what they always do, sitting back and hoping it all quietly fades away. No statements, no investigation, no accountability, just silence, while the league's reputation keeps taking hit after hit. It's the same playbook they used for the eye poke incident. Act like it never happened and pray the public forgets. But what makes this even worse is the context. Carrington's long track record of messy behavior. This isn't some out-of-character moment from a usually composed pro. It's a recurring theme. Twitter fights, questionable antics on the court, and now, allegedly trying to intimidate reporters, journalists. The eye poke incident was bad enough on its own, but the way Carrington handled what came after, somehow even worse. Instead of owning up or showing even a hint of remorse, she leaned into the victim act, framing critics as if they were the ones out of line. It's a playbook that's become all too familiar in the WNBA. Deny, deflect, and cry persecution. What makes Brennan's decision to report on this so powerful is what it signals. Established media voices are done being silenced or intimidated by WNBA players. For too long, reporters have tiptoed around women's basketball, terrified that even valid criticism might be called sexist or harmful to the sport's image. But Brennan's reporting marks a shift, a bold step toward treating the WNBA like any real pro league, where player behavior is fair game and misconduct gets called out. And honestly, that's a win for women's basketball. Because if you want to be taken seriously, professionalism and accountability aren't optional. They are everything. The timing of these revelations hits especially hard for the WNBA, landing right when the league should be riding high on rising attention and record-breaking viewership. But instead of building on that buzz with stories of growth and fierce competition, they're stuck managing yet another scandal about player behavior and internal dysfunction. The cost of all this, likely far more than the league wants to admit. Sponsors and networks don't sign up to be linked with chaos and bad headlines. When business partners see players going after reporters, it flashes warning signs about the league's culture and who's really in charge. Fans haven't stayed silent either. The response to Brennan's reporting has been loud and clear. Most people are standing with her and calling out Carrington. Social media is flooded with comments from folks fed up with the non-stop unprofessionalism. Conduct keeps getting excused and enabled, and the gap between what fans actually want and what the league keeps serving up is becoming impossible to ignore. What makes this whole mess even more frustrating is how easily it could have been avoided. If Carrington had just stayed in her lane and let journalists do their jobs, none of this would even be a headline. But apparently, the urge to jump into situations that have nothing to do with her was just too strong. And now we've got legal threats that are almost certainly hollow, just another attempt to scare Brennan into silence. Defamation lawsuits are notoriously hard to win, especially when you're going up against a journalist known for rock-solid reporting and source-checking. The fact that Carrington is airing these threats on Twitter instead of taking real legal steps, that tells you everything you need to know. And when you step back, this isn't just a one-off. It fits into a much bigger pattern of behavior. What this incident really represents should be sounding alarms for WNBA officials. When players start thinking they can control media coverage, intimidate journalists, and walk away without consequences, it breeds a toxic culture that ends up damaging everyone. Just look at other pro leagues for context. In the NBA, NFL, or MLB, a player pulling something like this will be disciplined on the spot and publicly called out for it. The idea that athletes can shape coverage through intimidation completely goes against what professional sports are supposed to stand for. And we can't ignore the role of social media in blowing these controversies wide open. Carrington's choice to clap back at Brennan through Twitter drama instead of a professional response. It reveals a basic misunderstanding of how PR actually works today. Every tweet, every emoji, every post becomes part of the digital trail, and it reflects not just on the player, but on the league. And beyond the headlines, this kind of behavior starts to mess with something even more delicate: team chemistry. That's something the league seriously needs to think about. When players care more about clashing with journalists than focusing on the game, the distractions spill onto the court, and performance suffers. It's hard not to connect the Connecticut Sun's playoff struggles last season to all the off-court drama swirling around players like Carrington. And there's a bigger picture here, too. Young fans are watching this unfold, learning how athletes handle pressure, criticism, and professionalism. When they see someone like Carrington skating by after questionable behavior, it sends the wrong message about what's okay. The media coverage of this controversy has been fascinating. While a few outlets are still giving Carrington some benefit of the doubt, most are treating Brennan's reporting as legitimate and backed by facts. Her reputation, built over years of solid journalism, makes her a tough target for the usual PR spin. And the league's silence, that speaks volumes. It suggests something deeper is going on behind closed doors, something they're not ready to face publicly. It feels like they know Carrington's behavior crossed a line, but they are not willing to say it out loud. Because if the allegations were completely off base, you'd expect bold statements defending her and calling out the reporting. But the silence, that says more than words ever could. And this isn't just about short-term fallout. The business impact of this kind of controversy goes far deeper. When sponsors or investors see a league that can't hold its players accountable or keep standards high, it makes them question the league's long-term future. Then there's the psychological layer. Carrington's need to control the story and push back on critics hints at something deeper: insecurity about how she's viewed and how she's playing. Confident pros don't usually obsess over what journalists say about teammates. But here's what really matters: the precedent being set. If players learn they can intimidate media with zero consequences, it only invites more of that behavior. And the league's refusal to step in now? That's how things spiral into something far worse. Future incidents feel almost inevitable. The difference between Carrington's actions and how most pro athletes handle criticism couldn't be clearer. The majority understand that media scrutiny comes with the territory, and they deal with it like professionals. But Carrington's inability to grasp that basic reality makes you wonder if she's truly ready for the demands of the professional stage. And the timing couldn't be wise for the WNBA. Just when the league should be riding the momentum of Clark's rookie season and growing fan interest, they're stuck battling a fresh wave of negative press, centered on player behavior and league dysfunction. You can bet the damage control efforts at WNBA headquarters are in overdrive. Because how exactly do you spin a story about a player allegedly trying to intimidate the press? How do you hold on to credibility when your official response is silence? And laid on top of all that is a complete breakdown in social media strategy, another mess this controversy so clearly exposes. It's revealing, really. Carrington's choice to take this controversy to Twitter has only poured fuel on the fire, drawing even more eyes to the allegations. A smarter PR move would have been silence. Let the story die out on its own. But there's deeper history at play here. Women's basketball has spent decades fighting to be seen as a legitimate, respected sport. So when players act in ways that feel unprofessional or petty, it chips away at all that hard-earned credibility. And this isn't just about basketball. It ties into bigger conversations around accountability, professionalism, and how public figures should respond to criticism. The ripple effects of this moment go far beyond the court. Even for Carrington herself, the stakes are high. The personal financial fallout could be major, because let's be honest, endorsement deals and business opportunities often hinge on public image. Image and professional reputation matter, because when you're known more for controversy than for performance on the court, your marketability takes a serious hit. And then there's team chemistry to think about. When certain players constantly generate drama, it throws off the balance. You have to imagine the Connecticut Sun's coaches and front office are tired of managing chaos instead of building strategy and developing talent. And the comparison to Caitlin Clark? It's striking. She's faced wave after wave of criticism, yet always meets it with professionalism and calm. The contrast between her conduct and Carrington's couldn't be more obvious. And then there's the WNBA Players Association. What's their role here? Are they actually helping players understand what professionalism looks like? Are they offering real media training and guidance? Or are they unintentionally enabling this kind of behavior by always stepping in to defend it? Supporting players no matter the circumstances? That's a dangerous line to walk. And the impact of these controversies doesn't stop at the locker room. It hits the broadcast booth too. Networks investing in WNBA games don't want their airtime tied to drama and unprofessional headlines. If the league can't uphold basic conduct standards, future media deals could be at risk. Then there's the coaching side of all this. Connecticut Sun head coach Stephanie White has to be exasperated, trying to build a culture and a game plan while her players are making headlines for all the wrong reasons. When drama overshadows fundamentals, it's nearly impossible to develop a winning team. And what about veteran leadership? That silence is deafening. Where were the experienced players when Carrington allegedly confronted the media? In strong organizations, vets step up and stop things before they spiral. That didn't happen here, and it says a lot. Veteran players are supposed to step in and stop younger teammates from making career-damaging mistakes. The fact that this unfolded without anyone stepping up suggests something deeper, a breakdown in leadership. And then there's the referee angle on the original eye poke. No flagrant was called, even though many saw it as blatant, intentional contact. That kind of officiating inconsistency raises serious questions about the league standards. The decision not to address it through post-game review, it sends a dangerous message that certain behavior is just tolerated. And the marketing fallout for the Connecticut Sun? It's no small thing. When a key player keeps making headlines for the wrong reasons, it puts pressure on sponsorships, ticket sales, and the team's public image. At some point, the front office has to ask, does what we're getting on the court really outweigh the drama off of it? And then there's development. How are players being prepared? Are WNBA teams actually equipping them to handle the spotlight with maturity and professionalism? Are players actually getting real training on media relations, professional conduct, and how to manage their public image? Because the steady stream of incidents suggests that whatever's in place right now just isn't cutting it. And it's not just about optics, it's affecting competition too. When teams are buried in drama, it's almost impossible to perform at their peak. It's fair to wonder if the Connecticut Sun's playoff run last season was disrupted by the noise surrounding their roster. But the impact doesn't stop there. Youth basketball players are watching all of this. They are soaking in how pros deal with pressure, criticism, and the spotlight. And if the example they are getting is dysfunctional, it could shape a generation in the wrong way. Even the original eye poke incident deserves more scrutiny. Yes, the playoffs are intense. Yes, emotions run high. But part of being a professional is keeping that in check. Blaming playoff pressure for crossing the line? That's a dangerous precedent to set. It's a dangerous precedent. And the fan experience, that takes a hit too. These never-ending controversies chip away at the league's potential. Casual fans tune in hoping to see elite basketball, but instead, they are met with chaos, drama, and behavior that feels anything but professional. Christine Brennan just peeled back another layer of WNBA dysfunction, and Diagene Carrington's response. Proof she took nothing from the eye poke fallout. The league's silence. It says everything about where their priorities really lie. If you're here for real talk and unfiltered sports coverage, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, because this is where the truth lives.